Show with your boy. Fellow Americans, let me welcome you to the BDRP Late Show with your boy, the Archbishop of Monsters, the Soul and the Strangeness, the War of Destiny of Weirdness, Mr. D-Dos.
Sorry, folks, my mic was muted. Welcome back to the BDRP Late Show. I'm your host, D-Dos, the Baron of Bigfoot. And I have something special for all you new subscribers. Tonight, you're going to get the BDRP squared. You're going to have a block of all of the variety of content we have here. So, shout out to Michael C., Brother Heck, Tom Jankowski, and all the rest who will be joining soon. So, what would y'all like to hear first? Would y'all like an interview? Or would you... Oh, yeah. Merle, you still on there?
Oh, yeah.
Say hi, Merle.
Hello.
That's Mr. Merlin 187, y'all. Well, since everybody's Johnny come lately, I'll choose. Dealer's choice. So, I think it's appropriate to start at the very first thing ever recorded. Way back when it was simply, well, it's simple now, back when it was the Bigfoot Dogman Research Project. When I was a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed young monster enthusiast. I had some experiences in Brown Springs and wanted to expose these monsters to the world and get my statue at the Smithsonian. And I never wanted any of those things. I just wanted to go in the woods amongst these monsters, honestly. There was nothing else like it. And they were weird. I couldn't explain it. So, in lieu of that, though, you can watch this roundtable. Watch this drive.
Welcome to the show that pulls back the veil on what's been hidden from you. The Baron, whose misadventures within the old-growth forests of his native Oklahoma has led to a new understanding. The understanding that now spreads as a wheat field set ablaze is the fact that the spirit world steers our perceptions of the monstrous beasts. The dry places in which the devils of this world are cast call these forests home as well. Nefarious parties who've long hidden in shadows are now having a light shined on them. That light shines through darkness, and the darkness perceives it not. An awakening is beginning to manifest within the hearts and minds of mankind. Monsters and spirits, man and beast, all will be revealed. Welcome to the original Late Show. Now, help me welcome the captain of this ship along with his trusted ally and first mate, the Baron D. Dawson Merlin the Mad.
hands down the superior intro. I hadn't played that one in a while, but like it was awesome. James Earl Jones talking.
Yeah,
on
you
it.
can't beat James Earl Jones.
Yeah, and he's talking some real truth too. You know what I mean? The one's
I
hidden in
love it.
darkness of this world is having that veil being pulled back, and the light's being shone on them. It's the light that shines through darkness, and the darkness perceiveth it not. It's almost like a wordsmith wrote that, brother.
Almost, ain't it?
Almost, just almost. Ladies and gentlemen, we all welcome back to the BDRP Late Show. Doggone it! Tonight's a very special night for me because it's my genuine pleasure to have another roundtable. Y'all obviously liked it. It's the roundtable we did is doing better than the interview with Kumbo. More people seen it so far. The interview with Kumbo sneaking up on it, but that's phenomenal. Which tells me you folks like to listen to things that you're concerned about, things that you care about being discussed by us. And that's a wonderful thing. You care about the same things we care about. And folks, we're taking the reins back. Let not your heart be troubled. So without further ado, you hear me talk about him all the time. I'll give him shameless plugs and we'll continue to do so until he reaches that 1 million subscribers, which he's on his way there. The one I call nephew, Zach from World Weather Authority, folks.
Thank you very
What's
much,
up, Zach?
Doss.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me on here. Definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, you're part of this family. Absolutely. Welcome. And of course, G Reaper, the man, the myth, the legend. This guy's had more adventures than Indiana Jones. Mr. Stephen Benjamin. What's up, Steve-O?
Hey, what's happening, brother?
What's going on?
Another day on the farm.
Good to see you.
Right on, right on. So tonight, the topic was all the madness and the madmen that are involved in the Dogman topic. We've seen myself over the years, as I'm sure Merle has too, just from the other side of it, seen a lot of folks who they're lost in the sauce that are involved with Dogman. Not so much Bigfoot. It's almost like a separate thing. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
there's a lot of people with emotional stuff going on, mental stuff. There's a lot of drug addiction. There's a lot of alcoholism, believe it or not, in Dogman. And nobody ever really talks about it, but that's something tangible that not just the experiencers, it's not even real experiencers that I've talked to or the people that have had encounters. It's the folks that are following this stuff with such fervent, you call it, like absurdly.
Yeah.
And it's got its own, there's a spirit to it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah. I
It's
think
ooky
there
spooky.
is.
It's ooky spooky to me, bro. I think there is. Well,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some kind of spirit attached to it for sure.
It's almost tangible. You can almost feel it sometimes.
It
like,
is.
You like went back and I looked at some of the stuff from this last little, if you want to call it that, and I was watching some of the, like, it draws the spirit of anger into me. You know what I mean? Like, so anytime it's a negative spirit or a negative spirit, so it's always we all have a proclivity towards some sort of a undesirable emotion. Some of us have anger problems. Some of us have, like, we get down in the dumps, we get blue often, but we're not supposed to dwell in those emotions. We're supposed to lay them down on the altar to the Lord and pray that he takes them away from us and replaces it with peace and joy. And you don't see a lot of that happen in the world, least of all this subject. And
Exactly.
it's
One
a
of the
sad
things
thing.
that's one of the things that's kind of stuck out to me about it, and this is the God's honest truth. I mean, it ain't so much the people that see it that have the issues that you would think. I mean, don't get me wrong, some people do, especially if they're at an age where, their worldview's already formed and it happens to them. I've seen it be that way more so than when people were younger, like happened with me. But it's the people that want to hear about it and the people that talk about it and monetize it.
Yep.
Where you can especially see there's something going on.
And it doesn't have to be, especially like with the folks that monetize it, because you can tell the truth and be rewarded for that. You can be honest and forthcoming and bring on people who are going to be forthcoming and have discernment, vetting these folks before you present them to a mass of people, because it's an obsessive thing, like I said, this subject. And from the time I started back in 2014, which is crazy, till right now, like I've seen, it's almost like, it's not even the side of a coin. It's like a completely different currency, you know?
It is.
With all the things coming at us now, though, how do you vet it? How do you vet their story? How could you ever?
How could I ever? That's an interesting question. Bro, there's certain things that, especially after I had my experience with one, there's certain things and certain attributes and
Yeah,
situational, environmental things
I see
that
that.
are going to be prevalent during all of it that we don't really discuss all that often. That's one way of doing it. And just discernment of the Holy Spirit, really. I mean, without that, we could have deductive reasoning. I mean, every man on this panel is sharp, and I know you guys can see through bullshit like Superman through a brick wall, but sometimes they do slip through the cracks, and some folks, like there was a gentleman years ago. I'm not gonna call no names, even though I don't mind calling names, but he was staring people, say like they would give an experience or give an encounter and want to be a guest on the show, and he'd be like, we need to juice it up right here. We need to skip over this part because that's the boring part. This is what these people live through. It's a traumatic type experience that they had to deal with. And unless you have had that experience, in my opinion, unless you have had that experience or have a deep sense of empathy, you're not really going to be able to handle those people in the way they should be handled.
I'll be honest with you. When I saw that when I was a teenager, at a time when you have the most neuroplasticity to be able to accept things,
Yeah.
I blocked it out. I'll be honest with you. I convinced myself I was high or I had some kind of mental breakdown. There was something wrong with me.
Bro, I was
And
a
that
grown
didn't
man.
really happen to me.
Yeah,
know
I
what
was a
I'm
grown
saying?
man and convinced myself the same things. I don't feel bad. Like, it's hard. What do you do with it? I mean, just seeing these things and trying to describe them to somebody.
And what gain is there to come out and tell people, oh, yeah, I saw this? I grew up in an era where if you went around telling people you saw a werewolf,
It's true, exactly.
they would have come out and put you in a mental hospital.
Yeah.
They locked you up.
Even though the more you look into it, the more you see that across the board, like, I think the general public, in the back of their minds, they knew, especially back then. You know what I mean? The word of mouth that travels. And that's what gets me about Dogman in particular. Bigfoot, every tribe in the United States, every one that I've ever studied, has an account of these creatures. And they call them different things, but they're given the same description. You know what I mean? Their physical description, their attributes. Dogman's the same.
We have a genetic memory of it.
I think so. That's where I was getting to.
Yeah, and like a lot of Christians, I know there's such thing as genetic memory. I took martial arts when I was younger, a good bit, and I watched who I guess he was right around 2 years old. He's somewhere between 18 months and 24 months. Do a perfect snap kick. I mean, just spun around and pow. I thought, are you kidding me? You know how long it took me to learn how to do that? You turd.
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
you just get it with a download, right? When you came in here. What's up with that? I know that.
It's just like you said, a download. We can observe this in other creatures in nature. The monarch butterfly is the perfect example. Their whole from their gestation period or gestation. How do you say it? Is it gestation or gustation? It's gestation.
Gestation is actually the correct
Gestation.
way.
All right, I've heard it both ways, but one's for us Southerners, and the other one's for the rest of the world. But the monarch butterfly, from the time that they come from the larva, all the way through their migration, they go through, I think, 1.5 generations. But somehow they still follow that route. The exact
Just like
same.
the salmon. They go to the exact place of their birth.
Yep, the same spawning grounds, and it's
Even down to the same tree.
Yeah. So I mean, that right there in nature, we're all part of creation. You know, we're higher than the beasts and the critters like that. But I mean, when it boils down to it, I believe that a lot of people it is awesome. We serve an awesome God. I think a lot of these people who have these what do they call them? Where they have past life experiences, they go under hypnosis, and then they start kind of getting memories back from their so-called past life. I think that they're getting memories from one of their ancestors. That's why they look like them, and yeah, they say they look in the mirror and they look like their dad. I read a lot about these people who go into under hypnosis and have these experiences, and I believe that's what it is. I really do.
I do a lot of it. Some of it, I'll be honest with you, I think it's demonic.
That's another. That's another part of it.
But a lot of it, I think, is ancestral memories. Yes.
And the sad thing about the demonic is, I mean, it'll attach to you, and you have the familiar spirits that have been through generation after
They have
generation.
details about these past lives, that things that nobody else would know that they did.
Intimate details, yeah, and thoughts too, as far as we know, because if someone, Lord forbid, had an inundation, if they were actually possessed at one point in time with it, then that spirit has every memory that they have, every experience. That's spooky.
That's almost like quantum entanglement. You know, whenever you, it's basically like it's interconnected. You know, two particles or two beings could be interconnected.
Yep.
It's definitely pretty crazy.
But it's crazy. But I mean, especially quantum entanglement, when you start getting down to the examples of it, it's crazy. But the possibilities from it somehow make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do, don't they?
You know what I mean? Like it's. And that's not
spooky action at a distance.
Spooky action at a distance.
There it is, right there. Yep.
That stuff gets scary. You know what I mean? Like, and I was just reading something about it the other night. Of course, it escapes me. There's two types. There's two ways of looking at the universe. There's basically a static universe where everything that's supposed to happen happens, and then there's the chaotic universe where the butterfly flapping its wings in Tokyo, Japan, causes a hurricane in Florida or something like that. I think it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's just too much weird stuff, and of course God's involved because the timing of some things is impeccable. You know what I mean? Like you can't. I don't know.
Can't get around it.
Yeah.
You can't get around it. Yeah. Would G Reaper asleep on us already?
No, sir. I'm right here.
Yeah, hit that mute button real quick. He's like, nope.
He's just chilling out on this portion of the festivities, huh?
Yeah, he's like, I don't want to talk about that shit.
Oh, no.
This is the fun part of it, though, man. Like
It is.
that, and you know better than anybody. Like way back then, when I remember how I discovered the CERN Large Hadron Collider and the quantum field and all that kind of stuff. I was watching a sermon, which I didn't even know was a sermon at the time, from Charles Lawson. And I was like, because I thought the way he was speaking, I thought he was a teacher, a professor or something, very eloquent. And I was like, what's this professor doing at this church talking about this machine over here in Switzerland? Because I mean, you know, he brought it back to the Bible at the very end, but he was just really giving a layman's, a description of what it is and what it does, and the dangers of it and whatnot. And that's how I discovered him. But after that, I was hooked. Like I exhausted everything I could on that thing, and quantum entanglement, the quantum mechanics, and all that kind of stuff. That's fancy words for the goings on of the spirit world, if you ask me.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Let's see, we got some people piling in here. Awesome. Shane Powers, Mainline Mitch, Brother Heck,